Hey, my name is Matt Marcellino. I'm an attorney with Marcellino and Tyson, and this is Jennifer Moore. She's also an attorney with Marcellino and Tyson. And we've been doing this YouTube channel for a little bit. It's been pretty fun. We talk about primarily things that clients call and ask questions about, like normal questions we may get, or every once in a while we sprinkle in things that we think that our clients and potential clients and just society in general may need to know about. And today we're going to talk about what's called equitable distribution in North Carolina. Right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. So what is equitable distribution?
It's the method by which it's the claim that somebody has to divide their marital estate. And so what is a marital estate? That's kind of the next question.
I don't know. What is it?
A marital estate is your property, your debt, the things that the intangible and tangible assets that were acquired during your marriage that we now need to divide. And our statutes say that it's divided equitably. There is a presumption of 50-50 split of the estate, but that can be increased or decreased based on certain factors, and that can be another video for another day. But that's the idea.
Right on. So what type of property are we, one, how do you identify what is marital property? And then what are the other, two forms of property that might get discussed during the same analysis?
Right. So there's three types of property that we're looking at. And it's important, I think, to differentiate between property and debt, because property is something different than marital debt or separate debt. So there's marital property, there's separate property, and there's divisible property. So marital property is property incurred during the marriage, after your date of marriage, before your date of separation. So there's your kind of the bookends there, and everything in between. That's marital property for the most part. There are some exceptions. What are they?
Anything that you bring into from a marital property perspective, as to what are the exceptions to that?
If it
you mean
was
converting
incurred
from?
we're gonna have to edit this.
No, we're good. So no. So marital. I always tell my clients split the uprights, right? Date of marriage, date of separation, whatever you acquired in between the uprights, the field goal post, right? That's marital.
Except for if
inheritance,
Yep.
right? So if somebody in your family passes away, or just some random person passes away and happens to bequeath you some type of property in their estate docs, then that's separate property.
Right.
There's some warnings about that as well. And then any type of gift that you may receive during the marriage from anybody, including your spouse.
Right.
If the intent is actually to be a gift, then
Right.
that creates, it's no longer marital property in either circumstance, it's separate property.
Which is the second form of property.
Correct.
Yes.
Separate property is typically stuff you bring into the marriage. Again, my examples that I normally tell clients is it's like that Fender guitar you've had since you were 10 and you still have it. Well, that's separate property.
Your examples are so much more fun than mine.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so boring.
No.
I'm like, the example for me is if it's a 401k and you've been at your job for 30 years and you've been at that job prior to marriage, then part of your 401k, if you've been contributing before marriage, is your separate property. But then there's some of that 401k, if you continue to contribute, is marital property.
Right.
So 401k, less fun than a Fender guitar.
Less fun, and can be actually characterized as both separate and marital.
A mixed asset.
Right. But the Fender guitar example is, it doesn't really ever become marital unless you gift it to your spouse and say, you know what, I've had this since I was 10, I love it to death, but I'm going to give it to you. And now it's marital property.
Yeah.
Right? Separate property in the name of the will.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Right. And then anything you acquire after date of separation is typically also considered separate property.
Right.
Again, there's some warnings, such as if you take a marital asset and let's say you take the car, let's say you take the minivan, right? And then after you separate, and then you take that minivan, you go to the Harley Davidson dealership, and now you got a hog, right? Well, that hog is now marital property, right? Because you converted the marital asset to something else, so it keeps its classification.
That's right.
Right, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. But otherwise, if you just came upon, let's say you got payroll after date of separation, minus bonuses and commissions, which is another nuance.
There's so many nuances.
Yeah, well, we're lawyers. Why would we make this simple?
Yeah,
right?
Very good point.
So anyway, so you get paid after date of separation, you go buy a new shirt. That new shirt is separate property, right?
Unless you got paid on, here's a nuance, if it's a payroll that was work done before date of separation.
Correct. So maybe if you want that shirt, it's super important to you.
Just wait until you worked a
wait
couple
3
weeks.
weeks to get out of your bi-monthly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the third is divisible property, and you kind of touched on that, but it's property acquired with marital property, but after that date of separation, or the active increase in marital property after date of separation. So, okay, again, my 401k example, pretty boring, but if at date of separation there's $400,000 in your 401k, but the market goes crazy and you're super well invested, and suddenly at date of division, maybe a year later, you've got 500,000, but you didn't actively contribute. It was market growth. Then that is divisible property. So.
Meaning husband and wife have that's something that can be distributed by the courts.
That's right. Yeah.
Because it passively increased as a result of just the market economy.
The market, yeah. So
Right.
not active contributions, but passive contributions creates that divisible property too.
Like real estate's another good example of that, right?
Yes.
So you buy a house during the marriage, it appreciates over time, and even after date of separation, presuming you're not putting on additions and swimming pools and so forth,
Right.
the value should continue to increase.
Without you doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not, so at the date of distribution, our reference was typically when a court order is entered, the
Right.
judge says X, Y, and Z.
Or a separation agreement signed.
That's right.
Yeah.
The value at that point in time would be a passive growth or
Yeah.
appreciation, still marital, still gets to be divided up.
Yeah. And that's that divisible property.
Right.
So there's three. It's marital property, separate property, divisible property.
That's right.
And so when we're looking at dividing a marital estate and we're thinking about the property in that marital estate, those are the three things that we're looking at. Or we're looking at the estate. Separate property is not a part of the marital estate, but we're looking for what that is.
Right.
And it's important too that we note that property that exists at date of separation is presumed to be marital. So if you want to argue that something is your separate property, the burden is on you to argue that. Otherwise, it gets thrown in the pot and we're dividing it.
Correct. And then for another podcast discussion is how we value all of this.
Yeah.
Right. So all we've done here is identify what those assets might be.
Right.
Right. But then the question becomes, well, how do we value it?
Right.
And that gets a little hairy after a while too.
It does.
So,
Yes.
but that can be another discussion.
Yeah, and we can talk about what debts are and the difference between the property we just discussed and debt, because there is a difference there. So,
Yeah,
for the
and
next
obviously it's not all positive assets when it comes to ED.
Sadly not.
Debts can
Yes.
also be considered marital debts and or separate debts.
Right.
And those things have to be essentially combed out as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
All right, so that's equitable distribution
There
and
it
how to
is.
classify the three types of property that we typically see in North Carolina,
Yeah,
right?
we did it.
Cool. So
All
hopefully
right.
that was helpful. Tune into the next podcast YouTube channel. This thing we're doing that's been pretty fun so far for some additional information, including potentially how to value assets and debts within the marriage through equitable distribution.
Sounds good.
Thanks.